Right. Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff. I've been away for a little bit and now back at it. And how awesome is it to be back here in the seat with the greatest YouTube support community in all of crypto? YouTube, you guys are absolutely outstanding. Glad we could be here. Paul, in the afternoon for you, way over there in the UK. So I'm ready to kick some kick this thing off. So Garlinghouse comes out with a tweet, another big win, another big round for Ripple. The SEC is once again denied. What does that mean? Does that lead to settlement? Does that lead to judge outcome? Does that lead to an SEC victory? What is going to happen? Obviously, there's just a tremendous amount of positivity in the space, always a lot of growth, a lot of development, a lot of building. But it's getting so contentious out there. Obviously, we saw an executive order that was also passed recently regarding crypto. So, what in the world is going on right now, right here? So, if you guys are ready to kick this thing off, I'm ready to go. So, let's do it.
Welcome to On the Chain.
All right. You know what I forgot? I really forgot my coffee. So, first things first, and we don't even have a coffee sponsor. So, if there's somebody out there that makes coffee and wants to sponsor On the Chain with some free coffee, that would be outstanding. But right now, I always tend towards the Segfredo or the Death Wish or, some other form of dark, rich coffee. And today with the espresso, Segfredo cooked in the mocha pot on the stove top. Let's see how it is this morning. Oh, look at that. Good as always. All right. So I'm happy about that. We got the coffee. Make sure you run out, grab your coffee, make your coffee, whatever that looks like. I do want to give a quick shout out to Susie Kuchia, coming in here and supporting us every single day, every single Saturday morning. Good morning, OTC family. What would be your thoughts on buying some Ripple stock? That's interesting. Ripple stock. So, if you're an accredited investor, you can go over to Link2 and you can buy some Ripple stock, and that's interesting. If we're starting to look at and really identify if it goes public, and then you can buy it on the open market, that could be pretty outstanding. It's 48.50 a share. Minimum is around $10,000 for 200 shares. Man, what an amazing opportunity, right? So now we're talking about outside of crypto. We're talking about investing in Ripple specifically. Now, when we reference buying stock in Ripple, the company, you know what? Despite what Gary Gensler might say about XRP, XRP is not a security, and XRP does not give you any form of investment in Ripple, the company itself. However, if you buy Ripple stock, which at $45, $48.50, man, they're going places. But just like anything, I look at it, it's either, a long-term hold, or a short-term play. And then if it's a short-term play, then you're obviously looking at, all the risk involved. And with anything, everyone has to do their own research. But, I like the direction that Ripple is moving in. I think the direction that Ripple's moving in is phenomenal. Especially, when we consider what they are doing vis-a-vis the SEC case, but more importantly, what their true objective is, which is building a business. It's not fighting a lawsuit, it's building a business. And their business is taking on Swift. Swift is the Goliath. It's massive, so um not so anyhow, I mean, it's just so I mean, you guys know the story. You guys know what's going on with Ripple and everything that they do. But you know what I wanted to do, before we got into some of the feedback and commentary on what's happening from Ripple's perspective with the SEC. V Ripple, and some of the commentary from the attorney Stuart Alderoty, from attorney James Filan, from Brad Garlinghouse himself. I mean, there's been just a ton of things, going on in this space. But, as we get started, I kind of wanted to set the scene. Before I do that, there is an active poll. So if you guys see that active poll out there, go ahead and give some feedback on that poll. So, all right, let me set the stage here. I want to kind of set your emotional state. So as we get started, start thinking. I want you to get, enraged. I want you to start thinking, with passion. But I want you to keep your emotions in check, because at the end of the day, we still have to think rationally as we go through this whole process. But I think it helps to kind of rev up, the juices, so to speak, and let's get fired up here, because if we start looking at our emotional state when it comes to what's going on around us, right, and the impact of, let's say, some of the quasi leadership that we're seeing from government entity. So just imagine this. Imagine a world in which you're in a position, right, to know about major events before they happen. So imagine it. Imagine you're watching, if you remember from Back to the Future, and Biff was able to get the Farmer's Almanac out of Marty's hand. So Marty found, that was, I think, in Back to the Future too. Marty finds the Farmer's Almanac from the era, that from back like 1985 or whatever. That's when the almanac started. So imagine you had this book that told you, the outcome of every sporting event, right? Imagine that you had that, and you now could see into the future. Or imagine you're in a position of power, to where these major events are actually determined, in many cases, by your vote. And you use this information that you're getting firsthand before anybody else. Nobody else knows, because these major events may be determined based on you. You might be the one that is kind of pushing or dictating what the potential outcome of these major events might be. And so you take that information and you use that information to invest. And not only do you just invest, but you get rich. Not You don't just get rich, you get massively rich, all while telling others that they can't invest. All while looking down from your protected ivory tower, pointing and laughing at the small peons, the citizens of the country that elected you to represent them, in office, to represent their interests. But instead of representing their interests, you decide that you're going to take all of this information that you're gaining firsthand before anybody else, and you're investing, and you're doing well. Now, does it bother you that government officials can do as they please while continuously attacking the citizens and admonishing them? We saw what happened with the Wall Street's bets guy as the SEC starts ganging up on the Wall Street bets guys. We see some movement within crypto as representatives here in government in the United States started to look at crypto as somehow only used for nefarious purposes, while they themselves are committing nefarious acts. Now, does it bother you that these government officials can do as they please while you can't? Are you upset? Now, as we kind of think about this, I wanted to play kind of a short video. I was looking for something else that, could kind of get us the information that we wanted. And I came across this brief clip, and it is from Jesse Waters. And the title of it was "The DC Money Machine." Now, the reason why we need to use this to really set the stage, because we've seen action and activity from the government, now most recently through executive order. Prior to that, we saw the cramming of legislation regarding cryptocurrency into supposed infrastructure bills. We've seen multiple players, representatives come out and admonish cryptocurrency. We saw the SEC themselves in the SEC v. Ripple case attack retail investors of XRP, undermining their intelligence. So let's kind of get this, kind of fired up. Let's kind of get this, thought process going. And now let me pull this up. Let us see if we can play this briefly. Let's play this clip. And you know what? We're not going to play that clip because, of course, I got to click the audio button. If we don't click the audio button, you know what happens? We get no audio. So let's try this one more time. Let's add this clip and let's see. Let's just listen to it for about a minute.
Instead, it looks like Congress saw this as a gold rush. They knew what sanctions could be coming down, and all they had, dollar signs in their eyes. Members from both sides of the political aisle poured money into the market, buying up defense stocks, energy stocks. So as Ukraine burned to the ground, Congress got rich. It starts with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the former chair of the Democrat Party. In late January, more than a month before the invasion, Wasserman Schultz purchased up to $45,000 worth of Patterson UTI energy stock. What do? The company drills for oil and gas. Drill, Debbie, drill. And it's shot through the roof since then, jumping nearly 60% in value since she bought it.
So now, if you think about this, if you think about who this individual is, and you go back and read the history on her and what she did while she was the head of the DNC, you won't be happy. Now, you also consider the fact that they're in the know. An investment of 45,000 shares in an energy stock that then goes up 60%. In the know before the know. Now, obviously, that's problematic. Obviously, that's problematic on multiple different levels. And, we look at this, when we look at, what they are attempting to do, we can't be, we can't be happy. We can't be happy as far as, everything that transpires. However, as we start looking at this development and we start looking at, how the SEC has fought their case, how they've really tried to, undermine, so much of what we see happening. Now, there are some other, interesting, commentaries here. I'm going to try to pull this one up. And this one was interesting because this came from Warren Davidson, Congressman Warren Davidson. If you go over, to onthechain.io and click interviews and type in Warren Davidson, you're going to find the interview that we did with Congressman Warren Davidson right here on the chain. And I would highly recommend it because, it was an outstanding interview. So it's really, really great. What I want to do is we are going to pull up a brief clip with Warren Davidson. I think that this one, as we start kind of progressing through the morning, and we're going to get into some of the commentary from Garlinghouse. We're going to get into some of the commentary from the attorneys in regards to the SEC case. We might even try to look at some other things. So let's see here. Now, there's two things here that we're gonna have to share. So let's first go with this. And let me see. There's one other link here, and this will be Congressman Warren Davidson. So we definitely need to get it. I gotta fast forward through the ad here. Let's see, 29. Okay, these are exactly the same. So this is perfect. So let's share the screen. Let's add it to the stream. Here we go. And so Warren Davidson, it's a shame. So much opportunity was wasted while Clayton served as chairman of the SEC. Congress must act to provide legal clarity for fintech. Now, we're talking about Congress, right? We're not talking about an executive order and maybe an overreach through executive order. So here we've got, you know, so well, let's look at the what the Sqwark box said here. There's one very important thing that is in this order, and that is recognition that technological advancement is important for the continued prominence of the U.S. dollar, says former SEC Chair Jay Clayton on Biden's executive order. So let's see what this says. Let's see what this is all about. Here we go. Oops, wrong one. Here we go. We'll get to it. Here we go.
Including some form of stable.
See, hopefully you guys can hear this okay. The volume is pumped up. Hopefully it's okay, but let's bear with it.
Including some form of stable coin. I think we've all seen that stable coin as a bridge from what I'll say the crypto new asset world to our incumbent financial system has demonstrated incredible power and scale. So that type of asset, that type of functionality, I believe is definitely here to stay. Whether a particular new crypto asset is here to stay or what value it will have.
You know, these are just, interesting, statements that are going on, overall. And you look at, the development, you look at kind of the movement, the trend, the direction that we've been going in. It's really amazing, and you have to ask yourselves why these government officials are in the position that they're in, and why aren't they representing the interests of the people? Are they truly there just to enrich themselves? Can we get, upset about this? So isn't it crazy? I mean, Warren Davidson's like, where were you? All of a sudden now you're going to come out and make statements, but when you were actually there, you know, it's amazing. All right. So John Dean says we have to ask, why was that time wasted? Who resigns being chairman of the SEC when he could direct policy? And then immediately talks about how the SEC must get it right. One explanation is that he used the office for personal gain for him and his buddies. We must investigate. Now that's John Dean. And you have to question that. You have to really say why. Why did Clayton waste his time when he was there? Now he comes out and says, well, here's what the SEC has to do. Well, you were in a position where you could have done, so why it's insanity. It's like, again, we live in this alternate universe. JV is saying now all of a sudden he's a crypto advocate. Oh, look how great crypto is. Look, we got to get behind this thing. But while you were in power, you did none of those things. You actually made it worse. I mean, it's insane. So you have TAIG here saying to Warren Davidson, Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman, conflicts of interest. It goes much deeper, but here's the timeline of undisputed facts. And you can go, we've gone through these facts before, but it's insane, right? I mean, it's just, man, it really gets you fired up. And you look at how there's these representatives sitting in Congress, supposedly trying to make decisions for the people, yet they're making decisions that are good for themselves. And it just makes little sense. It really does. So here, can you clarify what the purpose of the oversight committee is in this issue? It is comprised of congressmen, and they have been interrogating the SEC about this subject for years. So is the opportunity wasted by Clayton and the SEC or by Congress? And that's also a very good point. Where was Congress on it? Why wasn't Congress providing the direction and the path and the clarity? And that's one thing that Chip and I always reference, and we always talk about. It's not the SEC that's going to be writing the law. It's not the SEC that is going to provide for the clarity. It's the SEC that can take the laws as they are on the books and then make determination, right? And if they want to, play around with their enforcement division, they're going to enforce based on the laws that are then written, by Congress. So if we truly wanted a clear path of action on the SEC, on the cryptocurrency, it has to start at the level of Congress, not through executive order, not by some crazed opinion via, from a chairperson of the SEC. It has to come through clarity that is determined by Congress. And so, man, big support from one rough Rican. Appreciate you. Both sides of Congress know what's going on in crypto. I agree with that. They know the money that could be generated 100%. They will slowly let it come in, pretending they don't know, while they have people in the background figuring out how to tax the money out of us. And I think that's a solid point that Rough Freakin brings up. One point is they want to figure out how they are going to tax crypto. How do you tax every single transaction? How do you then utilize and make sure that they are getting, a part of, they want their part. However, I think it even goes a little bit further than that and potentially goes into, if you have these players, these actors in Congress that are bad mouthing crypto, are they then also buying crypto in the background through their blind trust? So many of them make statements that I didn't know I owned that stock. It was bought for me through a blind trust. And they hide behind these blind trusts and they make statements to that effect, that since they tied up all their investments, that, and so what are they doing? At what point are they trying to enrich themselves, versus actually doing something that's good for the public? Because that's what they were supposed to be doing. And this is also vital. It's also critical as we look at the unrolling of where we are in the crypto space right now, because everything is coming to a head right now. And so regardless of how we think about crypto, regardless of how you might think about XRP or Bitcoin or Ethereum or what have you, at the end of the day, in the US market, the US is making a determination as to the direction of the crypto asset class. Now, they're trying to do it through SEC enforcement. They're doing it through lawsuit. They are doing it through potential overreach by specific congressional representatives that are bad mouthing and passing along misinformation on the crypto space. And we use that, you hear a lot of conversation of, oh, that was misinformation. Oh, that has been debunked. However, you see a lot of the congressional representatives, not a lot, but you see a good number of congressional representatives that are still stuck in this loophole of misinformation on cryptocurrency, and a handful of them that keep promoting it. They're kind of the ringleaders of the misinformation that's being pushed. One of them happens to be Elizabeth Warren. One of them happens to be the Shermanator out in California, where they continuously push along misinformation regarding cryptocurrency and are, giddy with the notion that an executive order has been pushed forward to help regulate cryptocurrency. Now, the executive order, is it good? Is it bad? At the end of the day, an executive order is never good, because the executive order can easily be undone. And the purpose of the executive order is to, as a workaround Congress. And so if Congress is supposed to write the law, and then it goes from the House to the Senate, back to the House, and it makes its way to the president's desk, and the president signs it, and it's had multiple eyes on it, multiple kind of discussion over it, or you could get these bills that are passed through, like that infrastructure bill, where it's thousands and thousands of pages long, and nobody really knows what's in it. Nobody's really read through it, because nobody can read thousands of pages on their own and try to figure out what's happening. And so you go through it, and then all of a sudden they cram through some critical legislation, like on the, on crypto. And that's what they tried to do. And so you have multiple players here, one being the executive branch, which is now pushed through an executive order on cryptocurrency, and the other, through Congress. So you have the president, you have Congress, and you have all these actors. And so far, there is no clarity on crypto. Now, you should say, we could look at it and say, well, it's been around for 10 years plus. Maybe they should have gotten their act together sooner. However, there's, many of those that are in control that are pushing along the false narratives, the misinformation on cryptocurrency. And until you remove these individuals, it's going to be very difficult to get pro-crypto legislation, as Congressman Warren Davidson knows very, very well. right? So we have Congressman Warren Davidson and Congressman Darren Soto who work together tirelessly over and over and over again in multiple sessions of Congress to try to pass the Token Taxonomy Act. And what we've seen was you get some bipartisan support of the Token Taxonomy Act, and then it never sees the light of day. It gets pushed to committee, it gets pushed to the Financial Services Committee, where it goes to die over and over and over again, because it's the Financial Services Committee at the end of the day that bears responsibility for there being no clarity in crypto. Why? Because bills have come in front of the Financial Services Committee and nothing happens. It doesn't get I mean, if something was to happen, let's put it this way, if they could let it go through and say, look, we don't like it and we're going to vote against it. So at least bring it to a vote. At least say, hey, we don't like this thing and we're going to vote against it. And then you have to bring it to the next session of Congress differently. And maybe, there could be some actual bipartisan conversation through the committee. So if it dies in committee, then the legislation isn't, beneficial. And so obviously there's a roadblock, and that roadblock happens to be Congress. And so now we have an executive order out there. We have an overzealous chair of the SEC, and there's so many variables to what's happening. And you have to really look at this. What in the world? We just have to say, what in the world is going on? What in the world is going on here? Attached is a letter sent to the commission earlier this morning addressing an enforcement matter relating to transactions in XRP. This is Joe Grundfest. Dear Chairman Clayton and Commissioners, a mass exodus of every senior staffer responsible for a major enforcement decision with broad policy implication is, to my knowledge, unprecedented in agency history. It raises obvious concern. So how do you drop a massive lawsuit and then resign the next day? I mean, you're basically saying, here's legislation. I'm the chair of the SEC, and I don't care what the outcome is. I don't, what was the full motivation? What is happening when you have a non-elected official that can have such powerful outcome? It's crazy. Hemlock was saying he was too busy making sure Ethereum and JP Morgan get their spot set up, then turned around and sued Ripple because they wanted to steal their idea. Now, don't know that for a fact, but there's some crazy things going on, and maybe there was a lot of politics going behind the scenes, but we still can never take our eye off of the fact that Ripple is taking on Swift, and Swift is a major powerhouse of banks. So if you look at the bank involvement in Swift and the bank potential seeing that there's a threat to their control over the Swift mechanism, as well as specific government players having control over the Swift mechanism, then you start seeing, okay, maybe there's a little bit more at play, but maybe, just maybe, some of this could be accurate. Maybe this is accurate, that there was some handshakes, backroom handshakes. Maybe there were people that were in the know before everybody else was in the know. Maybe there were some conversations, in position where people actually knew what was going to happen. And maybe there's some conversation with some organizations like the Ethereum Foundation. There's a lot of information that seems to be coming out, and there's a lot of concern still about the timing of the events. And that's what really has led, to this whole discourse and the whole direction that we've been witnessing for the past year plus. Now, is this positive for the crypto space, or is this detrimental? Does this really prop up and help support Bitcoin and Ethereum while undermining an asset like XRP? It doesn't make any sense. Or was their true target Ripple? Maybe their true target wasn't XRP. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I mean, but there's so many different avenues of what's been happening. Sophie was saying MSM is already fear mongering that crypto is government controlling your money, like they don't already. So there's lots of crazy stuff, coming down the pipeline. So I wonder if Elizabeth Warren has ties to the MIT lab. Interesting. Oh, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. I'm looking at some of the comments here. So, all right, let's get into some of these other interesting tweets that they came across. Oh, this was interesting too. This was Crypto Slate. We're going to get to Brad Garlinghouse's commentary here momentarily, but check this out. So this one came out. So you see the signing of an executive order. Now, crypto markets lose $100 billion as Biden signs executive order on digital assets. Bitcoin drops below 40,000 again after Biden's crypto executive order is signed into law. A buy the rumor, sell the news event is in full swing as the price of Bitcoin falls 8% in 5 hours. So you see the markets react positively to the buzz of impending crypto executive order following a leaked statement from the U.S. Treasury nominee, Janet Yellen. Now, here's another one that has been bad-mouthing and spreading misinformation regarding crypto. She acknowledged the potential benefits of crypto. However, as Biden signed the executive order, markets have given up their gains to put Bitcoin below 40,000. Now, this is interesting. Now, there could potentially be some good in here, but do we want it through executive order, or do we want this through discourse through Congress? Do we want our representatives that we sent there to actually pass these types of bills, discussing and trying to pass it, knowing that in many cases, those representatives are they're acting in their own self-interest, like we showed right in the beginning. And the reason why I was so critical is because you have a congresswoman like Debbie Wasserman Schultz who is enriching herself based on inside information, based on the direction that the government is moving, or specific bills that might be passed, or specific information that might be shared that isn't shared to everyone else. And they are enriching themselves in the tune of a 60% gain. Now you have individuals like that are then, making determination on certain bills that are critical to all of us. But yet, if you have an executive order signed, you have no discourse. You have no representation in that executive order. Zero representation. You can't go back to your congressional person and say, why did you vote for that? You can go back to your congressional representative and say, why haven't you put bills on the floor of Congress to help support consumer and investor protection in crypto? Why don't we have a specific bill just on that? But why isn't it, if we're going to have a bill, then it needs to show the truth of everything. Can't just spread misinformation like Elizabeth Warren and Janet Yellen. So they're saying protecting the U.S. and global financial stability and mitigate systemic risk. It's so interesting that they're so worried now about global financial stability when they don't seem all too concerned about financial stability in the U.S. market. But they're worried about global financial stability. Mitigate the illicit finance and national security. Now, you think about the timing of this executive order. Why now? On the back end of statements talking about Russia potentially circumventing sanctions by using cryptocurrency, after experts in the field came out and said that won't be possible. They obviously can do peer-to-peer transactions, but a sanction is a sanction. If that money has to move through a bank and that bank is involved in the sanction, not going to happen. If that digital asset exchange is caught moving money through a bank that is involved in the sanctions, that's going to be bad for them. If that digital asset exchange is caught up in facilitating the movement of cryptocurrency, from a sanctioned country, that's going to be bad for them. But why now? Why pass this executive order now while there's chaos in the world? Why not pass true clarity through Congress? I mean, why not have had an executive order 3 months ago? Why right now, while it's being cloaked with chaos unfolding around the world? Promote U.S. leadership in technology. Yes. There have been bills put on the floor that talk specifically about the need to keep the U.S. in a leadership position for technology. You don't need an executive order for that. Economic competitiveness to reinforce U.S. leadership in global finance. I mean, I look at this and I say, but everything that you're doing is contrary to what's happening. Promote equitable access to safe and affordable financial services. Is that really true? Do you really need an executive order for that? Support technological advances and ensure responsible development and use of digital assets. Explore, and this is the foundation. And with this foundation of everything, as to why they're pushing this through, I think Chip needs to come in, because we need to discuss exactly why they want to explore a CBDC.
Jeff, did you say Chip needs to come in? Because I thought I heard something. Can't be 100% sure, but
I did. And Chip, going through these points from this article, kind of highlighting some of the things in the executive order. And you look at all this stuff that they could have done through Congress, they could have done before. Why now? And why is one of the foundations of the executive order further exploration into a CBDC?
Well, Jeff, as we talked a lot about the other night, I mean, the executive order does nothing. The Rosalind Layton article pointed it out, but what it really does, it directs more government bureaucracy. They want 10 more government agencies to actually, hang on a second. Hello, is that better?
Nope.
You still not hearing me?
No, I hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. But for some reason, all my settings got tossed off today. I don't know what happened. I wonder if this mic is working. Is this mic working? Holy cow.
If it's not on, it might not be on.
Yeah, that might be the problem. I was to say that Biden directs 10 government agencies to create a framework. Apparently, even when you've been in government for 47 years, you forget how government works, like you pointed out. And the bill's already sitting in the committee. So it's just more, it's more failure, government failure.
It's crazy, right? I mean, it's
ridiculous.
Really, really crazy. I wanted to pull up just a few things here for EC 2189. In short, executive order isn't a law enacted. No Congress. And Chip, that's, you just brought that up too, but that's spot on. An executive order is nothing. An executive order gets thrown out when the next administration comes in. And anything that there you go. Perfect. Now we can hear you.
Okay, good.
Much louder. Then you got another one here. Government pot calling the kettle and wine glass black. Just crazy stuff. And hey, Chip, we had a new member join on the chain here.
It was me. Yeah, I joined earlier. I was like, I want to see what this is all about. I want to go through the experience of joining. So I went through. The weird part about it is on our channel, Jeff, is the join. Everybody else has the join channel button. Not us. Not OTC. No. Oh no, you got to dig through the comment, the description, find it, click on it, go through a myriad of other things on my phone. I had to go to a Chrome page.
Really?
I had to log into another payment system. I had to connect you talk about payments, you talk about how complicated. It couldn't get more complicated to join. So anybody that has joined the channel, Jeff and I thank you.
Kudos to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic because, yeah, there you go.
That's crazy. So Chip, now that you're on too, want to get into some.
Well, we've been Jeff. We haven't been together since Monday. I did Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's been weird.
A long time. It's very, very weird, and it's been like a whirlwind this past week
The week was
of
crazy.
things going on. And so, but man, I got to bring this up. I want to get some commentary. This is like perfect timing that you came on, because there's been, so we kind of set the tone and the stage of everything that's kind of happening around, the world around cryptocurrency. And then, since you guys hung in there this whole time, why don't you guys give a shout out where you're tuning in from? But I want to share this, Chip, because to me, we're going to have a free steak dinner at a steakhouse of our choice.
Burn Steakhouse. You saw my tweet last night, right?
I did.
I saw you comment on it.
So Brad Garlinghouse, if you weren't paying attention, then you should be now. Huge win for Ripple today. Huge, not small, not you can overlook this, not, well, we're just saying it's huge, but actual huge. It's just massive. And then, so you get Stuart Alderoty. Today's order makes it clear there's a serious question whether the SEC ever provided Ripple with fair notice that its distributions of XRP since 2013 would ever be prohibited under the securities law. Now, you look at these two tweets, and Chip, there's some amazing momentum and passion that is starting to be developed here. Stuart Alderoty says, good to see the judge rejecting the SEC's attempt to prevent Ripple from pursuing its fair notice defense. It's even more imperative that the sun sets on the SEC's regulation by enforcement approach. Your comments?
Well, it's coming to a close. And Jeff, you want to know how beautiful this is? Let's go back to December of 2020. 2020? Yeah, was that when the case was filed? My God, feels like years ago, right? It was December 2020.
Crazy.
And you and I this is kind of what changed the direction of On the Chain. You and I were streaming once a week on Sunday nights. We were doing and then uploading videos. That's kind of what we were doing. And what we did was we tore down that entire complaint, SEC v. Ripple. And what you and I both came to the conclusion. We read through it separately. We came to the conclusion together. This is frivolous lawsuit. Makes no sense. We had John Deaton on. He had filed the lawsuit about 2 weeks later. We had him on the show. And we said, this is ridiculous. Go all the way. And everyone's like, I want a settlement. I want a settlement. I was like, why would you settle? Why would you settle? What settlement could possibly come out of it? And I said, yeah, Jeff, if we heard today, if breaking news on the OTC, we heard there was a settlement, would you and I be happy? Be thrilled. You know why we would be happy? Because we would know that the settlement included the words, today's XRP, not a security. That's the only reason that Garlinghouse gave that he would settle, and they tried to settle. And we learned recently, Jeremy Hogan pointed this out, that recently in one of the tweets he put out, there was the judge wanted the SEC and Ripple to meet for at least 1 hour to see if they could come to terms, right? Some sort of a settlement. And guess what? They didn't. So settlement? No. This one's going to the mat. This one is going to be the greatest. Gensler's going to be famous for all the wrong reasons. He'll be famous for losing the largest, the case of the century, and his face will be on that loss, and it will just be glorious, Jeff. And we will have a great time celebrating. We have to have a little party down here in Miami once that thing concludes. Just have a little meetup.
It's insane. I mean, it really is. It's outlandish. And you already see, how Clayton is coming out on this whole thing, right? So Clayton definitely, isn't coming out on top, in regards to his action, and so how is it that, he's not going to come out on top, yet Gary Gensler will? There's no way. And like you said, he's going to go down in history as losing probably the most pivotal case. And it's man, I mean, it's amazing that we're watching this unfold right now. It really is. It's amazing that, now we see, you can see the true intention of some of the political representatives,
yes,
as they, kind of, keep things, in kind of a specific, direction, or they keep things quiet, or they keep talking, but yet no action.
no action. Jeff,
we don't put them there to talk. We put them there for action, and we're
No,
not
Jeff.
getting that action.
Come on,
Not getting it.
that's a big ask right there. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, they're supposed to go to represent we the people, and guess what? They don't. But look at this, Jeff. I thought this was an interesting one. Tweet right here. This one was put out by Gold Telegraph. JP Morgan says it's hiring thousands of individuals with criminal backgrounds due to the labor shortage. Things are getting beyond weird. Have a nice weekend. I said, it takes one to know one.
What can go wrong there, Chip?
Yeah, I mean, I could say like, well, we're now considering we're open to people that have maybe a criminal background, but I'm like, well, if you want to hire like-minded people, then maybe that's thousands of people. And is there a labor shortage? This whole thing of the labor shortage is just cracking me up. It's like 2 years ago, everybody was working. We were like 3.3% unemployment nationwide. We didn't have this massive inflation. And all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. Did all those people just leave the planet? I mean, where did they all go? They're just hanging out?
No, I think they did send them to Mars. I think we've got a settlement on Mars, maybe even a settlement on Planet 9, or maybe they've all been abducted by aliens.
Look at
That's
that.
always a possibility. Maybe
always
that's
a
what
possibility.
we haven't seen yet. Is the
EC 2189 says Endgame is set precedent favoring, we the people. Say that again.
Right.
We the people. Gray Man says, dudes, Ripple body slam Gary. Oh, you know, well, Jeff, just let's think about the monumental, and thank you for that, Gray Man and EC 2189. Let's think about this. I mean, is this a huge win? Because what we learned, which was interesting, in the library case, they also put up the same defense of the not given fair notice. And what was weird about that was the SEC didn't go after it, didn't try to deny it, nothing, right? So that was sort of a precursor to what's happening here. Now they put everything, their eggs in one basket. If they were able to deny that, which you and I again said that probably would be a long shot. If they were able to deny that, you know what would have come out of that? Then it would have gone, they would have just said, well, it happened in this other case. And guess what? We're going to go after the library fair notice as well. And the whole idea of now striking that and not having that be a real defense. Well, all Ripple has to do is produce all of the times that they inform the SEC. You remember, we've heard this for years. Brad Garlinghouse, we heard it from Joel Katz, better known as David Schwartz, saying, yeah, we met with the SEC. We told the SEC. We told the SEC we were making this move. We told the SEC we were investing in MoneyGram. We told them how we were going to do that via XRP. We told them that as soon as they got the XRP, they would sell it and collect the fiat currency. So this is turning out to be just a glorious year. And
it's awesome. It's
right?
outstanding, Chip. Look, and then you look at how everybody is giddy now, right? Everybody is super, super giddy about the outcome. Look at Charles Gasparino here. Net significant victory for Ripple on XRP matter, because Ripple can now use lack of fair notice from the SEC as a defense and possible to get the case tossed. Now I want to, get
tossing the case would be bad. That's
this.
bad, Jeff.
This would be, there's two ways to look at this case. There's one way to look at this case that it's helping to provide resolution on getting clarity in the crypto space due to the inaction from Congress, right? So that's one direction. We're going to get a legal outcome of what XRP is, which can then also translate and trickle down to all other crypto assets potentially. And so we've got that approach. But to have the case tossed out, I think would be extremely detrimental, because they toss the case out and we get no outcome. We basically find ourselves back in the exact same position, maybe rebranded. The SEC takes another approach, stab at Ripple, and it's okay. It didn't work this time. We're going to come from a different direction. What we really want out of all this, I don't want the judge to toss it, Chip. I don't even want settlement. I want a true outcome. However, even through settlement, if there is a settlement, and you said it just a few minutes ago,
yeah,
it has to be with clarity. That's the only way there can be true settlement. I don't see Ripple giving on true clarity, and I don't see the SEC backing down, because Gary Gensler is the enforcer.
The enforcer, yeah. Yeah, well,
he's the enforcer. He keeps talking about the pillars of enforcement.
he lives in one of those pillars. It's in whatever that little place he lives in. It's got, if you look around it has some pillars of enforcement around it. And the funny thing about Gensler is it's so weird when he was on that Jon Stewart show, that little clip we played of him on The Problem. I'm sorry, Jeff, I'm not watching a show called The Problem. I have enough of my own. I don't need to watch more problems. We already are pretty familiar with the problems. We point them out here basically 6 days a week. Let's call it the solution, but there are no solutions when it comes to government. All they do is take money from the people. They don't make anything. They don't create anything. They just create more problems. And this whole representation, somebody put in the chat, there you go. Somebody,
that's what you want. I want clarity and real
settlement.
Guidelines.
I want clarity and real. Yeah. And the whole idea, you and I predicted this, and it's just great. It's really good to watch how this is unfolding. But the case itself, we said back in 2020, or maybe it was early January 2021, we said the whole idea behind this case will probably be the quickest way to clarity for digital assets. And it looks like that still may hold true, even though we're a year and a half in. It's looking like that potentially could be the deal, because when this finally does come to resolve, let's figure it out. Does the EO do anything? Nothing. It says 10 agencies. And somebody pointed out, I think it was John Deaton, said, well, the good news is this doesn't involve the SEC. Well, why would it? The SEC's lockstep with the administration. They're going to involve 10 new government agencies to come in under the enforcement pillar. So this whole thing, it was driving me crazy in this week. And that's why I missed you on the show this week, because I wanted to, get your thoughts on the whole, on the show. And everybody was like, oh, the executive order. I'm like, do you guys read the executive order? It's just, it's a big bunch of nothingness.
It's a big bunch of nothing. And I saw some commentary. Every president passes executive orders. And what we know is that it's pointless. It gets action at that moment. And then, then 4 years later, it gets removed. But the next president's like, screw this. I don't want it. And it's gone. But Chip, here, this I think is really spot on, and we're starting to see more movement with the Ripple case. All of this timing is very, interesting, that we see an executive order. The final point, from that one article was that they want more research into a CBDC, a U.S. digital asset, and then Chip, Monica Long, and I find that this is kind of interesting timing. Why now? USDC and USDT are live on the XRPL. Why now? Why are these stable coins, these Ethereum-based stable coins, available on the XRP DEX? So I look at it, the XRPL DEX is basically currency agnostic. So why not allow them on the DEX, right? But at the same point, Chip, someone else commented over here, I'm not sure if I'll find it. I sent it to you. And they basically said, why not just have an XRPL stable coin? Why not just have something? What are your thoughts on that? The timing of it, the CBDCs, the USDC on the XRPL DEX. What is transpiring at this moment?
Well, just hold that thought for 1 second. I wanted to put this up here. Paul Wright says, the pillars of enforcement, LOL. Pillars can come crashing down. Yeah, right on someone's head, right in their head, in their basement. And then I want to welcome John Gill as a new member. He just became a new YouTube member. He joined. Boom. He gets the wow. The wow. And I joined earlier, Jeff. So I thought it was time. And again, there's 3 tiers you guys can pick. But anyway, what it basically does, it changes your little avatar and allows you to have a couple more emojis. You got a Ripple emoji in there, and John Gill can probably throw them up there. But some emojis, and the more that join, we can put some other ones up there. But Jeff, what was your question again? Sorry, short-term memory loss. You were asking.
I was just mentioning, with Monica Long, the USDCs on the XRPL, this notion through the executive order that they're concerned with CBDCs, all the timing of this now, the case for, the Ripple, the SEC v. Ripple case is gaining momentum in the direction, kind of favoring a Ripple outcome. There's all these things kind of moving in tandem right now.
Well, let me go a little bit further. I'm going to go deep dive on that. I'm going to go underneath here, but yeah, go ahead and read that.
How about the Simpsons? They might have predicted the win back in April, if you remember that one.
Yeah, you
Simpsons
remember?
are
I
always
remember.
ahead of the curve.
They're always ahead. They got some. They have that Farmer's Almanac that Biff had. You talked about earlier
That's
in the
right.
show.
You
But
better
let's go a
believe
little
they
bit
do.
deeper than this. What people are starting to realize, and sometimes when you remember in the cartoons, I was saying to somebody earlier in the comments that I learned, they were saying like, hey, somebody put the comment on there that said, I usually watch Saturday morning cartoons, but this is way more educational. And I said, I learned everything I know from, well, you know, when you're a cat and you walk around the corner, you get hit in the face with that frying pan. That's what happened in 2020 to 2022. That's basically was the giant frying pan smacking you in the face. And what people realized was that the sovereignty of a nation didn't exist. By the way, I have my espresso here. We didn't even talk about that. But what people are realizing and waking up to is that there's a third party involved with their fiat currency called the Federal Reserve in the US, and it's called the central bank. You have the Central European Bank, who basically makes policy based on whatever they feel. And one of the things the Federal Reserve is supposed to do is they're supposed to, on the monetary policy side, they're supposed to control inflation. And buzzer on that one, they haven't done anything there. But what we realize is the entire system is built on debt. We talked about this so many times, but it's built on debt. So you're always in debt to the central bank. And what's happening is that early days, crypto, have fun with that. And when the momentum started to swell, the panic ensued, and these people are scrambling like cockroaches, Jeff. They're running all over the place. So the timing of this doesn't necessarily surprise me. It is interesting, the timing.
Scrambling like cockroaches in the dark. When you
you turn on the light and they just scramble to the corners. And you know what happens when you corner an animal, a wild animal in the corner, they don't just like give up. They will fight you tooth and nail. They'll do everything. And this is what we're seeing happening in Congress, as you pointed out, that the rules are rigged and they get to know things that are like the Debbie Wasserman Schultz. They get to know a little bit what's going on before anybody else. And guess what, Jeff? She's down here. She's not in my district, but she's in the district one.
In mine.
Yeah, she's in your district. Yeah, I was say she's in your district. By the way,
and I've tried to help. I've tried to help candidates.
By the way, my rep
doesn't work.
My rep is no longer running, and I was like, do I throw my hat in the ring, Jeff? Do I just go ahead and run for this? I mean, do I have time to do it? Do I just run? I just throw my hat in the ring on the other side, and then I just run. And then what am I going to do? Then I have to do more work on top of what I'm already doing now, Jeff. This is what you don't want to create more jobs for yourself, you know.
That's it. So Chip, we're at that moment in time right now, but I do want to give. I'm glad that you came on. It's tough being away for the week. Looking forward to our show tomorrow night as well. We've got some great topics planned for tomorrow night. Sophie, great show again. Appreciate you, Sophie, always here with us. And giving us some shout outs as well. I did start up a poll in the beginning, and I'll tell you what, this poll, doesn't seem to bode too well for our thought process. But what is the outcome of the SEC v. Ripple case? Now, if this poll is going to determine whether or not we get a free steak or have to buy a steak, it's not good, in favor of us. But what is the outcome of the SEC v. Ripple case? A settlement gets 54% of the votes. Now consider this, the poll is about 182 votes on this poll. A win for Ripple at 42% and a win for the SEC at 2%. So whoever the 2% out there that voted for the SEC, what in the world?
Well, hang on a second.
A win for Ripple versus a settlement. The settlement gets 54% of the vote. Now on your poll, I know your poll.
It was leading early this morning.
Yeah, so
14 hours left, guys.
What happened? What happened, Chip?
Well,
when I look at your poll, Ripple was ahead.
I'll tell you what, guys, go vote on this poll too, because maybe you already have, but I'll throw it in the chat right there. But you can see it's pretty close. 45.2% is a win for Ripple, and you got 47.8. It was actually winning this morning. Now, two people actually said that they finish it. Two people actually said Baba wins. Damn it, I accidentally pressed the middle one. And then Crypto Max said me too. So that right there, two people, and I've done that too. It's like, I don't mean to.
You're not reading it correctly.
You select the wrong one. You're like, man. So two of those votes out of that at least.
Is that go? Who is?
But that's still not 7%.
Go back down to the Mortal Kombat thing.
Yeah. Finish him. Finish him.
What is that? That's Luke Cage. No, I don't remember who that character was.
Was that the one that
Anyhow.
said body slam, body blow,
Finish
body blow,
him.
body blow, body blow?
Oh, that was I remember that one. That was that Nintendo game, that boxing.
Look at this one,
body
Jeff.
blow.
Look at this one.
Settlement. SEC needs to
Needs to bleed, baby.
That's great.
Well,
So
Jeff,
Chip,
was great joining you, man.
man, it was awesome having you on. Got to run out of here to tennis, but man, it's so great to be back. And like I said, tomorrow night, but here on thechain.io, go check out onthechain.io. You can support over there. You can support here on YouTube. The thing is that we actually stream 6 days a week. So if you go Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Saturday right here at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was great seeing you, Chip. And with that, I think we got to get out of here. I do want to give a quick shout out to John Gill as a new member, to Chip as a new member, and to the big supporters, support from Susie and from Rough Rican and EC2189 and Gray Man. You guys are all awesome. Thanks for the big support today, and thanks to all the other members that we have here on the chain. And we'll check you guys out tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you on the next one.
Take it away.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.